Hey everybody, hope you're well, and welcome to the channel. We have Crypto Rich with us today. This is the second video that we are doing, and today we're going to be talking about some of the news elements that's out there at the moment. There's a whole, how should we put it, a whole bunch of people that think Bitcoin will go down, a whole bunch of people that think Bitcoin's about to really just take off, which is, I think a very interesting dynamic, as well as a whole bunch of other news elements. And we're also going to talk about some little projects that we've been working with at the very end, just to give you a bit of an update of what's happening there as well. And I just want to say a massive welcome to Rich to the channel. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing very, very well. And just please subscribe to James's channel, which will be linked below if you haven't already. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And we're both mostly project based, like Project ABC on your channel and XYZ on my channel. So you'll discover different projects if you like that sort of coverage. And we're talking about OTC, how to buy large amounts of Bitcoin or sell large amounts of Bitcoin. Portugal, and then also the projects that I want to talk about is a top 30 coin market cap project that I've had on my channel recently, and as well as Electronium and another little secret project.
Keeping people hooked to the end there, Rich. I like it. So just some of the big things that, there seems to be a lot happening at the moment. I think one of the big concerns for a lot of people is taxes. People don't like paying them, especially if you're in Greece. And I think that's a huge thing for people. Obviously been in the space a while now, and I get my cousin to do it, and we just apply general sort of trading elements to it, just to sort of keep in touch with. And if anyone ever comes back and questions, you've paid your taxes or declared stuff. But what about yourself, Rich? What's your views on that type of stuff?
Well, I think the news with Portugal is really great. It's really, really great news for people living in Portugal. I have been to Portugal a few times. It is one of my favoriteest countries in the world. It's beautiful, great weather, and now I want to move to Portugal.
Tax-free, which is pretty trading, and also when you withdraw as well, which is pretty slick, to say the least.
Which is actually better the situation in Germany. Now, I might be wrong here, but in Germany, you only pay tax on crypto when you convert it to fiat. That's my understanding, right? Now, I may be incorrect. If you know better about the laws in Germany, please put a comment in below. In Britain, if I go from Bitcoin to Ethereum, that's a taxable event. If I go from Ethereum to, Spectre, that's a taxable event. And then if I take the Spectre, go back to Ethereum, and then cash out the Ethereum, there's two taxable events. It's like every time I do anything, it's a taxable event.
They're getting their slice of the pie, for sure.
Yeah, well, all the bloody admin, the tracking, and oh my God.
I think Portugal will quickly become the new Monaco/Switzerland of the maybe the crypto financial world in some sense. But like you say, it's not a bad place. If people have got a boatload and think, sod it, I'll just move to Portugal, get a nice villa, sit by the pool, sip on some pina coladas, and not pay any tax. Thank you very much.
Yes, very nice. But at some point, given what I think is going to happen with the economy at large, governments are going to move in. They're going to want their dollar. They're going to get more because we need more money. We need more money. So perhaps if you're in Portugal, enjoy it while it lasts.
Because if I look at sort of the benefits for governments, when we look at stuff like the tax element, it's like how much does cash in hand account for in terms of money transferring hands in the UK? It must be billions and billions and billions. But if that's on the cryptocurrency ledger of some format, whatever it might be, you can't do that anymore. The amount of taxes that they'll probably reap back is actually a massive, huge benefit for them, versus probably how they're thinking now that it's used for drug smuggling and all this, all the nonsense that we hear a lot. And it could be, but so's the US dollar. Was,
when you said the drug smuggling, I was thinking of HSBC. And all the shenanigans that goes on that we don't necessarily know about because we don't have access to that information. But the other thing that's happening is, I think in Japan, exchanges aren't allowed to buy and sell private privacy coins. So the governments could also clamp down on privacy coins. Except then I suppose human history is one group imposing rules upon another group, and the other group that are imposed upon finding ways to avoid those rules.
Yeah.
That is the dynamic.
I think it's the whole thing with stuff like cannabis right now. You know, if you look in a lot of countries, I was watching a whole thing where they're going into, I'd say country park, because that's what we have in the UK. But obviously in America, they're thousands and thousands of miles of square footage of forestry and stuff. And, you know, because it's not legal, they're going up there, they're creating these farms, and some of the chemicals that they're using on the cannabis plants to make sure that nothing eats them and all the rest of it. I mean, it's highly, highly toxic, and it's sort of destroying the environment. But that's driven because we've made it illegal. And like you say, people will always find a way if you're going to go down that route.
Yes. And Gerald Celente, just a name drop, right? For those of you that know, if you know Gerald Celente, who he is, please put in the comment below, I know Gerald Celente, right? Whether you're watching this on my channel or James's channel, I know of Gerald Celente. So he's a trends researcher for 30 years, producing really, really accurate reports with regards to macroeconomics and politics and stuff. And he says there's going to be a movement towards the legalization of cannabis. He's been saying this for a couple of years. And it's to do with governments wanting tax revenue. And so we are seeing, certainly in the US and other places, that there's a movement towards legalizing cannabis, which brings us on to Portugal, because Portugal has decriminalized all drugs, and they've had a massive drop in the number of people dealing with drug addiction. It's not a criminal offense.
And also their crime rate as well has dropped significantly.
I didn't know that, but of course it would, because that's amazing. That's very, very progressive. Very, very progressive. And the tax rules, going back to that, is that I haven't looked into it. I just saw the headline. Does that also apply to businesses? I mean, it must do, because
at the moment the articles are pretty sketchy on detail, but it's an overriding sort of tax haven, shall we say, right now. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
You're going to get a lot of businesses, crypto businesses, registering in Portugal.
Potentially. And then, and I suppose that maybe takes us on to, maybe I know that you are very heavily into sort of following Brexit and all the stuff. and how do you think that will impact the price? Because obviously people might be looking for, you know, places to put their money because they don't know which way the euro or the pound will go. And you know, it's a bit confusing.
One thing, James, you and I did not establish with each other is which way we voted.
Okay.
So I want to know, and so I voted Brexit. I voted leave.
Okay.
Yeah. Which way did you vote?
I voted stay. So this would be interesting. This would be interesting.
Very good.
I do think longer term that obviously now we're seeing a lot of you know, Italy's been in recession for 5 months now. No one said anything. You know, there's no headlines. There's no nothing. And you know, Germany's slipped into recession. You know, all these countries, and I do see that potentially more people will leave the Eurozone at some point and will go back to our own currencies, which I think lends itself quite nicely to having this overall currency in a form of cryptocurrency where it's translatable in every country, because nobody wants to pay. You know, it's so depressing when you go on holiday, you give them your £1,000, you get your change into euros or wherever you're going, and then on the way back you only spend half of it. But when you transfer it back, you get half the amount back because they just smash you on the rates.
Yeah. No, that's very good. That's very good. Now, this is where Bitcoin could serve as a decentralized currency that's beyond governmental control. You know, it's like Britain is not in the Eurozone, so we have ownership of our own quantitative easing. We can print the pound to our heart's delight, right? But countries like Italy and Greece, imagine this situation, James. I am now in charge of your money. You are now dependent upon me, upon your money. How's that going to work out? At At some point, you're going to go, wait a minute.
I'm off to Portugal.
That's right. Unlike Bitcoin, which nobody controls. Which nobody controls. So then it's kind of like everybody has some sort of, I suppose, equivalent access to it. And I think personally, I think that without wanting this to go into a discussion about the arguments for staying or remaining, right? The EU is bust. The European Union is bust. We've got negative interest rates, right? And Denmark has got 0% mortgages. That's insane. That's insane. How are banks going to make money? Well, they just keep printing it in order to offset their balance sheets, right? But it means that I will borrow a bond off you. I'll buy a bond off you, say for 10 million euros, and I'm going to get 980,000 euros at the end of that term. What? Now, what's going to happen is people are going to move into assets that, okay, they don't give a yield, but you're not going to lose value. Why would you buy a bond from Germany or from Denmark or from Netherlands, right? When you can put your money in gold, silver, and Bitcoin, and they're beyond the banker's control. And gold and silver, I mean, silver I looked a few days ago, has been up 25% this year. And gold and silver, by the way, was how I got into Bitcoin when I started studying about the banking collapse stuff in 2011.
Because normally when we see such a rise in those asset classes, that normally indicates some form of recession coming as well. Yeah. Which I've read some potential topics. End of October, there could be an L-shaped recession that could change the game a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know when it's going to happen, but things are looking really, really shaky on the macro scale. And then I mentioned Gerald Celente. I'm going to be interviewing him at some point this week. And by the time the video goes out on my channel, I may have already interviewed him. So please do subscribe and everything and check that out. And there's others, I would recommend people go get informed. Don't just listen to us. They should do their own research and check stuff out. Things happen. People are moving into gold, silver, and Bitcoin, and it hasn't yet hit the person on the street.
Yeah, I think that the wider view that you get, the more that you read, the more that you view. Because, actually, I was reading something the other day. Apparently, anything you read, you only keep 5%, 10%
right.
of the information. Right. And actually viewing like a video or something, you actually take more information in. So, hail YouTube. We'll keep going. There's also one of the big things that I've seen recently, obviously, this in the news, is Alan Howard. He's come saying he's got $1 billion that he's going to chuck into Bitcoin through venture funds. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I do on.
Alan Howard.
Oh, just a very rich man. Very rich man.
Okay.
He's got a couple of quid.
Yes.
I think that's the big thing. Is like, people are talking about the venture funds coming in, and obviously in the background to work on other stuff. And I see a lot of people buying Bitcoin right now off the exchanges. It's massive. Because
one of the things that you do, you run an OTC desk.
Business partner Paul got something called Base, and literally we got put together through a mutual friend. I had somebody who was looking to buy some Bitcoin. He had Bitcoin to sell, and it all just come together like that, really. And then, some of the deals that we see coming through, 100 Bitcoins, like people just buying, like, especially the guys in London, the hedge fund managers, some of them are doing it as a side gig at the moment. So they're working in London in the day and then doing some side hustles with Bitcoin. But, we're seeing about 100K come through the desk a week in terms of just like 25 grand here, 50 grand there, just people topping up, and some of it's coming from China as well. So there's quite a bit.
Well, let me ask you a bit about this, right? What's the minimum purchase price if somebody wanted to buy Bitcoin? What's the minimum?
If they want to buy from Base, which is our platform, it's 5 grand, or anything below 25 grand is 2%. Anything over is 1.5%. And also, we get a better rate than the market. So if you look at sort of Bitfinex at the exact time that we're buying on our exchange, we're generally about £60-70 cheaper, plus the fees are a lot less. I tried to buy some Ethereum through LA Token the other day, and it was 7% to buy.
So 7% above the spot price.
Yeah.
Right. And then you on your OTC desk, people are paying if so look, the minimum. So let's say I wanted to buy right,
Hmm.
and I only had $2,000. Could I buy $2,000 worth of Bitcoin off you?
We'd probably sort you out, Rich. We'd look
You
after you.
will sort me
We'd
out,
look
right?
at
But
you. We'd look
is
at
there like a bottom minimum investment?
probably to make it worth our while because obviously work on really low percentages. It's probably about 5,000.
Five
But it,
thousand is the minimum, right? And then
yeah,
the percentage on the 5,000 is what, 2% or 1%?
2%. Anything
Two.
under, yeah, anything under 25 is 2%. Anything over 25 is 1.5. And like Paul, pretty much, hats off to Paul at Crypto Base. He does all of it. All I do is I connect him with my contacts who, like from all over the world, who want to buy basically.
Okay, now if anybody's watching this and they want to buy uh, a minimum of $5,000 worth of Bitcoin, how would they contact you?
I will put a link and Paul's email, and there's also the Crypto Base website. So I will put that at the bottom of the video and contact Paul, or personally message me at my email at the YouTube channel, which is cryptopte@gmail.com, and we can. I mean, we've worked with a lot of people, high wealth individuals, and they keep coming back, which is great.
Right, okay. And then what if I want to sell Bitcoin? I've got 5 Bitcoin to sell. Not that I would sell Bitcoin.
Exactly the same, just to reverse the process. And also, because of the exchanges that we use and how we do it, there's always a lot of liquidity to do it as well. So we only really struggle when you're talking 100 plus Bitcoin in a week. That's when we really struggle.
Right. And then what? So it's the same. And what's the minimum investment for selling Bitcoin?
Probably about the same. 5 would be the bottom, just to make it worth our while.
Sure. Okay. Very good. And you'll have all the links in the description below. And how do you do it? Where do you have you in that box behind your right shoulder? Is it full of Bitcoin?
I wish.
The Marshall speaker. And
No, that's
what about? Could you show me one you've got there?
That's all. What you can't see is actually the other side. So the first half of the studio is sort of like my miners. I've got my amp in here, mics and all sorts of things, which didn't work this morning. I actually used a different mic because we kept getting echo in, didn't we? But there's a whole bunch. There's a stack of guitars, so I also play guitar as well, which is pretty bit of a stress relief from trading.
But how do you do? What happens in the back end that you can offer these rates for Bitcoin?
One, because we're doing volume, so we can negotiate with the exchange, and also or Paul has a really, really good relationship with these guys in terms of the prices, how much we spend with them. So I mean, we're spending just under $500,000 a month with them in terms of trading volume. That is not like spend, but that's good volume for them. I mean, all of that counts. It's all genuine volume, because I think one of the things that we've seen across a lot of the exchanges, LA Token being one of them, is where they're just wash trading like 2 or 3 Bitcoin backwards and forwards. It looks like they're doing hundreds of millions a day, but they're not. They might be doing a couple of million a day.
Yeah. They're moving it from one wallet in their exchange to another wallet in their exchange, and there's nobody else involved. Okay, so if somebody wanted to buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, they would pay $1,000 as commission. No, 1%, right?
It'd be 1.5.
1.5. Okay, wow, yeah. That's incredible.
And then as the numbers get bigger, the percentages do come down as well. So
okay. I'm going to send you $1 million.
And away we go. So, but this is the thing, is when you start talking through other businesses. So we're talking to an investor.
James. James. You just froze there. So you're talking to this guy, a big investor. He owns one of the biggest call centers in the world, and he's coming to your OTC desk.
Well, we're talking to him about other stuff, but obviously I could introduce him to the world of Bitcoin, because this is the thing. A lot of these investors, they may have heard of it, but they don't know about it. And it's one of these, it's like a lot of people, they might be watching this video for the first time, and they're like hearing about Bitcoin, and people starting to hear about it and get interested in it, but no one really understands it. So there's always that fear factor. And I think most of the news that we see, and you and I have been around it, is where wallets stolen, money taken from exchanges. I mean, it's all the negatives. There's never much really around, or too much around the positives in terms of the benefits that cryptocurrency is providing.
Okay, but what about I mean, if someone uses this service, how safe and secure is it? How do I know that I'm gonna give you $25,000 and that you're not gonna run off with those dollars and keep the Bitcoin?
I suppose that's our reputation, and why people keep coming back to use us, and why we're recommended then to other people to come and use the desk. All of my community have option to use that facility, and some of them have. We bought, I don't know, trying to think the other. It's about maybe 4 weeks ago. We did a big deal with another company, and they all bought their Ethereum through the desk. So it's not just Bitcoin. There are other cryptocurrencies that will do, and at good rates as well. So yeah, it's a bit of everything, because there was a lot of negativity around OTC and like all these big deals. And sometimes we do get people come to us and say, "Oh, we're going to do this big deal and stuff," and it never comes to fruition. But the 25,000, 50,000 deals, they're your bread and butter at the end of the day. Those ones come quite often. They're weekly.
Right. And you've noticed an uptick in them, and those ones don't necessarily get recorded on CoinMarketCap.
No. Oh no, none of that stuff does. No, it's all. Some go through the exchange. Some are where we're holding Bitcoin, or someone that we know has Bitcoin, and they might even offer a -1 or 2 on it to shift it. So there's lots of different combinations. All depends how much someone's trying to buy and bits and pieces. But it's definitely it's good to see sort of the back end of what happens, because you don't generally see the normal person just buying a couple £100 on Coinbase will never see that side of what's going on. What the stockbrokers in London, what are they doing? And you get to see sort of buying habits to a certain extent and what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Because I know, I can't remember what the commissions on local bitcoins, buying and selling of local bitcoins, are just horrendous. They don't always have access to exchanges.
I think it's going to be like the supermarkets. Back in the day, there was they could charge what they wanted, where now it's so competitive that they're all undercutting each other and all the rest of it. And it will get to that point where the exchanges will be, I'm talking about 1.5% now. That's going to seem dead expensive in 5 years' time, just because there's going to be so much competition, new technologies to deal with those, and so there's a lot that will happen, I think, going forward, that will really sort of drop the cost of even trading and everything else.
Wow. Okay. Very good. All right. What else you want to cover?
I think we've got to talk about young Craig Wright, or not so young, 49 years old, and he's just been spanked with that $5 billion bill. Obviously, he's been, for a long time, he's been saying, "I'm Satoshi Nakamoto," and there's a big wallet out there. Everybody knows it. It's the biggest one when you look at all of the wallets out there. And people have asked him, just move a Bitcoin, just prove it's you, and he hasn't. But now the Australian tax authorities have got hold of him, and obviously there's a claim that's been made on the estate, and now he's having to pay out $5 billion, which is, I don't feel sorry for him, should we say?
But, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
how's he going to do that?
This is where it's really interesting now, because now, if he really is Satoshi Nakamoto, he's either going to go to prison, or he's going to sell some of the Bitcoin, and we'll see some of that move. But also that will impact the price of Bitcoin massively, because
But what if he does it off the OTC desk?
It's probably still drop the price, because you can't shift $5 billion on a single OTC. It's going to have to be, that would be through lots of different places. Right. I think that's That's a monster amount. Unless he sells direct to maybe hedge funds or something like that, that might be an option. But I think the whole thing now, he's backed into a corner, and he's either got to say, yeah, I really am, and here's the wallet, and ding dang do, and move the coins, or he's going to get caught out and he's going to look a mug.
No, I think he looks a mug as well. I don't think he's done himself any favors.
No,
he is Craig. He is Satoshi Nakamoto. Doesn't make sense to me, right? That someone who has gone to so many steps to keep themselves secret would all of a sudden start, hey, it's me all along. You know,
yeah.
Right? Anybody could come along, right? And I think the time is right, James, for you to come out as the real Satoshi Nakamoto.
I wish. We'd be filming this in Portugal if I was. But I just think it's so interesting because, you know, we had the split, maybe, was it 3-4 months ago now? Satoshi Vision and all the rest of it. And then he just acted like a dickhead, and Binance just said, nah, see ya. And the price just plummeted. And he didn't really help himself. It doesn't make sense, really, because if you think about, you know, the whole principle of why Bitcoin was made, really, or brought about, and then he's just acting like a knob, basically, you know, put it mildly. And it doesn't make sense, you know. It should be, I don't know, even Roger Ver to a certain extent. I mean, I don't really agree with some of his things, and I think it's very hard to find what I'd call a real expert in the space that you can sort of really lean into and trust and understand. And even like Julian Hosp, massive fan. But then there was a whole, you know, he sold his coins, did this, he did that. How much is true, I don't know. I try not to get too tied up in any of that malarkey.
Yes. Well, I suppose, I mean, it's just human beings being human beings doing what human beings do. Human beings duck and dive and dodge and weave and scheme and skive. Human beings everywhere, right? And one of the things is that I mean, I don't really get involved in, I suppose, there's the toxicity of it, right? But the flip side of it is how passionate people are about particular projects. Or like this project is the one. This is the one. Better than any other, right? This one is the one. Right now, I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of that. You know, I happen to be a human being as well.
I think the other one that comes out a lot is, like, when I'm in Telegram groups. Like, now I'm really close to some projects, like really close, and so I know quite a lot of information. And then I see these people jumping into Telegram groups and just go, it's a scam. And people just like use it as if it's the word it, without real sort of backup and information. Like, there was one guy I was chatting to about Amon, and he said, oh, you know, this is all the information that I've got, and I looked at it, and obviously I was there from the ICO to now, and I said, oh, your numbers are wrong, dude, you know. It wasn't, they didn't raise 11 million, it was 1.1 million. No, they did this, they did that. No. I said, look, I've seen the books, I've seen the spreadsheets, you know, that's how close. It was 1.1 million. And he wouldn't accept it. No, where's the money? What have they spent it on? And then he was calling it a scam, which it blatantly isn't. And I just think people are too quick. I think it's like this instant society. You know, you can go on Twitter and call, you know, say anything you want quite quickly, and there's no sort of repercussions of it.
Yeah. Yes. Like you and I, like, even though you're a Remainer and even though I'm a Brexiter, we have to remain polite with each other. But I get what you're saying. If we were strangers on Twitter, right? There's no repercussions. I can say whatever I like. You can say whatever you like, and so on, right? There's no managing the relationship. But you should join the Spectre Telegram group. And if anybody from Spectre is watching this, please put a comment in the description below, and you know what comment to put, right? Which any of the letters, right? This is the Spectre Telegram group. Hatchworks and Spectre is the most entertaining Telegram group I've ever been in. It is unbelievable. It is so, the impression that I've got, and I've said to the CEO, Kay Kamani, about this, it's like a bunch of blokes sitting on some beer crates, drinking beer and just bantering. And then somebody comes in to post some dodgy link, and instead of the admin deleting it, and they make comments on it. Well, that's interesting.
Go to work on it.
Let me send you my Bitcoin. And they keep accusing the CEO of this is just an exit scam, complete exit scam, but not in a way that's serious or with any charge to it. I mean, the project is building and building and building, and I think it's very, very promising. And glad that I hold tokens, but that's I just recommend it. Whether or not you invest in Spectre, go join the Telegram group if you can find the link, by the way, to the Telegram group. That's not even easy to find. I have around for it.
Classic.
Okay. But do you mind if we move on and talk about some of the projects?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries.
Is there anything you want to mention that you're covered or about to cover?
I suppose I think it's quite obvious by my channel at the moment that I'm quite heavily into the Cryos project, and really there's a couple of factors. One is the new CEO that's come in, Dwight Ringdahl. I mean, light and day, this guy, I tell you. He said he moves at Dwight speed, and I didn't really understand what that was, but this guy he's a grafter. I mean, he's done in 2 months what the project couldn't even achieve in 18 months with a bigger team, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal what he's achieved. Platform's just launched. They've got a King of the Sea program running at the moment. So if you own tokens, I think you've got some rich where obviously you will now get a bonus based on how many you hold, and that will happen over a couple of periods to get people ready and in the habit of receiving profit shares. So Cryos project is one, it's like the Fiverr project, so it's all about freelancers. And if you look at some of the statistics on freelancing, I mean, it's through the roof. More and more people, like yourself, Rich, you want to be working from home, you want to be spending more time with the family. Who doesn't want to do that? Who wants to be commuting across town, working for a boss that just doesn't care, or, whatever, you know what I mean? Nobody wants that. So we're seeing this huge growth in freelancing. So he's going after that sector, incorporating, you can pay fiat or Bitcoin or Cryos token or whatever it is. And then on top of that, he's layering his own digital tech business on top to give the token some value. Because I think the biggest challenge with most of the projects right now is the ecosystem element. If there's not a lot of people in there using the token, creating the value, it's very hard to kickstart it. So he's done it by layering his business on top to give it some value. And I think the profit sharing bonuses are paid in Ethereum, which is a bonus, and that's going to start happening from November. So that's probably.
Do people need to be registered and have the Cryos tokens somewhere?
You just have it in your MyEther wallet, and they'll just go through a KYC process just to be able to pay that profit sharing, so they know where the tokens are going. But the big thing at the moment is the price is super low.
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying a 1.8 cents bonus, and it's like 1.1 cents at the moment. So it's an absolute no-brainer for now. But obviously, there's lots of news in the pipeline which will drive that price pretty quickly.
And how often are they paying out the bonus?
Every quarter.
Every quarter, okay.
Yeah. So
that's interesting because there are a couple of projects that are, if I can move on, right? Projects that do similar stuff. So one, Spectre, they've been paying out weekly bonuses to SXDT holders since April 2018. And as they roll out their ecosystem and they have more and more profits coming in, more and more of that will get shared out with SXDT holders. That's every week, every Sunday at noon UK time. A little bit of ETH dropped into your wallet based on the amount of SXDT you hold, and that is it's an unknown project, relatively very low in coin market cap. The other one, there's another one that I can talk about a bit later on, which is also like Cryos sounds like from what you're saying, a sleeper, right? And by the way, for people, they should do their own due diligence. Just because James and I are talking about them and we think they're a good idea doesn't mean they necessarily are. You want to check it out for yourself, right? There are things we make mistakes. There are things we may not see. What you said about the entrepreneurs like Fiverr, because Electronium are later on this year going to be launching their gig fare platform.
Okay.
And they're getting all ready, and they've got a lot of people engaged. I think over 3 million registered users when I last looked, but the price has gone down, which I think has to do with the sort of type of investor.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, I think, switching from the alts over the last few months into Bitcoin as the price has been rising, which is probably
all the alts are sinking.
Yeah, but then we're getting to a point where Bitcoin is getting to 70% dominance, and the last time that happened, we had a massive alts run. So maybe we may see that happen again, because it is, what goes up goes down. Currently, we've gone down. The only way we can go back is back up, basically. But what happened to the because Electronium did the telephones, I think, last time I was talking to you, and you've done what's happened with those? What's the...
Well, the phones are still there, right? I mean, that's part of the whole ecosystem they're building. They've just they've since then done a deal with a mobile phone company in South Africa, and also a mobile phone company in Brazil, where people can use Electronium to pay off their phone bills. They've changed their mining algorithm to proof of responsibility, so because it's not fully decentralized, it's a hybrid platform where they get to say who gets to mine Electronium, and then they're making that available to NGOs that teach people real skills rather than just provide relief. So the NGOs have a source of income in the form of Electronium, but also then the idea that they're going to bring in more users in the long term. And two NGOs have gone public: the Wonder Foundation, which are based in London, and also Ubuntu Pathways, which are in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. So, and they're rolling out more, and Richard has said they're going to be open they're going to have deals in 20 countries by the end of the year with different mobile phone operations and stuff. So it's all kind of building. And one of the things I asked Richard about when I interviewed him a couple of months ago is, well, how are you going to make money? How's Electronium going to make money? And I liked what he said. And it's the Facebook model or the Google model. Like there's this high quality, mass market, mass adoption, freemium model. And then when you've got enough users, you take a teeny weeny bit off each transaction. It just takes time to build that.
Was having that vision, isn't it? To pull.
And the guy's a successful businessman.
I think
he does. In one of his other companies that he runs, his clients include Herbalife and Avon, all about direct selling. So he's bringing that experience and knowledge to bear with Electronium, in my opinion.
And I think it's a smart move moving into Africa. My friend Ryan talks on AI topics at the UN, and the UN have said by 2025 Africa will start to become the new superpower. And the reason for that is, one, they've got all of the resources pretty much the world wants: gold, diamond, your mining, your minerals. And then on top of that, they don't have sort of the infrastructure that we have in the UK with banks, and also the same in America and some other really formulated countries, if you will. And they can just skip that whole nonsense and go straight to using cryptocurrency as day-to-day payments, because they don't have that red tape to deal with. And their technology could just supersede everybody pretty much overnight, because they don't have that red tape and bullshit, if you will, to cut through, to be able to have to go through that, really.
Right, and they have a very young population that's growing, and increasing smartphone penetration. It's like you said, right? You and I, how we got into computers were great big old clunky. Well, mine was a ZX81, if you remember those, right? But a clunky desktop, plug and play, and patang, right? You switched the modem, and you waited 5 minutes for the BBC page to load.
Yeah.
Right? and then we got faster desktops, and then we got big laptops, and now I'm using a very small MacBook, which is just teeny weeny, and then there's the tablets and the smartphones, right? They can probably go straight. They're going straight to smartphones. Lower barrier of entry, and the smartphones now are more powerful than our first desktop.
Yeah, and also the price point as well. You
Yeah.
know, you can pay £1,000 for an iPhone, or you can get some other phone, other brand, which is
And
very
an
similar.
Odium
And it's
smartphone for $80.
yeah, there you go. I mean, it's easy entry for
Yeah,
people.
which I think is a nice segue into the sleeper. This is a project that I've covered since 2017, and which I think is another sleeper, and it's Cajutel. So the two co-founders of Cajutel, one of them has got, I don't know how many years experience in building telecommunication networks in West Africa. The other co-founder built an internet service providers company in Iceland and also in Switzerland, then went and sold that off. And what they're now going to be building is building a network of solar-powered, high-speed Wi-Fi transmitters in Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, and Guinea. Now, I think of this as like there's no room to build another Wi-Fi network in London or Geneva. The market is saturated. But in Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, where there's no infrastructure for it, and they're moving, not, like you said, they're jumping straight to Wi-Fi transmitters, high-speed Wi-Fi transmitters. And they've just been granted a license for Sierra Leone. So they're now in the planning stages of where they're going to put all these Wi-Fi transmitters and employing the staff and onboarding people. And then people who hold Cajutel tokens, Cadge tokens, and I'm one of them, will get quarterly dividends, quarterly bonuses from the profits that accrue. Now, it's because it's an infrastructure project, it's going to take time to roll out and build and get a return. But I looked yesterday, and it's about over $2 a token. And this is a guy who's run these two people have run these sorts of projects successfully in what you say like the new frontier, a pioneering, open environment, Africa.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
So,
and we're not talking about Egypt or South Africa, which I imagine have a lot of this infrastructure already in place. We're talking about smaller, less developed countries that don't have it. Okay,
yeah.
so that's Cajutel. Any other project you want to let us know about?
I'm working with a few, but like at the moment, there's some hardcore projects that I continue to hold, and like one which you close to your heart as well at the moment. I think Komodo. Yes, it's
Yes.
it's talk to Jace on a regular basis. The one that I was in, I bought ICO was Pantos, which is linked to Bitpanda, and also Jason, the guys over at Komodo, are involved with. That's like an interoperability coin. I bought, the price went up so high I had to sell, but I remain vigilant on the price of that, shall we say, longer term. And there was another one, interoperability coin, that I liked, was Aeon as well, Canadian project. Again, I think it was like $5 in the height. Now it's down to like 17 cents or something. So really at the moment, I've got my eye on lots of projects that are potential bargains, like Cardano. Cardano's what, 5 cents at the moment? I mean, last time I bought it, it was 2.5 cents. So I'm still double my money.
Wow.
Versus even the up and the down. But that went up to like over $1. So again, it's just keeping an eye on some of these projects and just moving your chips around as such. Because I think if we see another massive jump in the alt market, which it looks like it could potentially do, then we could see another run potentially.
Very good, very good. And then the last one, given that you mentioned Komodo, I'm a big Komodo fan, so people should subscribe if they want to find out more about Komodo. I have used their Atomic Swap DEX, decentralized exchange that works on a mobile phone. I'm a beta tester for it. I've done a video about it. I think Komodo is fabulous. But there's another platform protocol, a top 30 coin called v.systems. And I just did an interview with their guy, recorded it yesterday, and it's going to be out on my channel at some point this week. And another great platform protocol for building decentralized applications on. So people should watch out for that, and hopefully I'm going to do more coverage with them as well.
Yeah, I'll check that one out. Nice one.
Yes. Well, listen, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to have all the relevant links in the description below. Any last words you want to say before we finish up?
Just big thank you for coming on and doing the second one. We'll get the trilogy done at some point. maybe do it for Christmas. But yeah, really appreciate you coming on. And a big thank you to anybody that's watching, subscribing, listening, and supporting the cryptocurrency community.
Absolutely. And then please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto James, Crypto Bull.
Nice. Lovely.
Best.
Take care, Rich. See you, buddy. Bye.
I'm feeling